is only left with 4,600 life points. We might be seeing a true swift victory, but now we will be having Farfa starting things off with Ignister. Now he gets to finally some combo for the first time.
Yeah. Looking like Farfa is already having a better start to his game than he did in the previous. Looking to really get on the board for the side of this Ignister player. Meanwhile, Turna just happy right now to sit back and watch things happen.
Yeah, and I think for how things went for Farfa in the previous match, he must be very happy that he's starting things off with something this time. Turna, he now activates the effect Veil on the Dark Infant of Farfa. Let's see if now something else happens. Now it comes with the AI land.
Okay.
Does Turna have any other interruption? Turna is thinking about it. Does he have Maxi? And he has. Wow. This is very powerful because basically now Farfa is once again, you know, stuck into this situation in which if he might extend his plays, he might be facing a lot of cards being played by Turna.
That being said, he's already off to a better start than he was in his previous game, so probably feeling pretty good regardless of the fact that he is constantly dealing with disruption after disruption. But the more important thing is that the Ignister AI Island is on the field, and it is potentially resolving into something right now once Farfa decides whether or not to fully commit to the summon. He will.
Looks like Farfa will maybe be doing some more, but just to give you guys an update, Pikami takes the win with a 2-0 victory over Colossa, and once again we saw how powerful her deck is. 2 wins for her.
So actually we do see Farfa playing a couple more cards. I'm not sure if the AI Idol Reborn was searched for or if it was actually activated. But regardless, that does put Farfa in, again, just a much better position than we'd seen him in at any point earlier in the day.
I have to say that playing Ignister with Maxim being activated is of course a big risk. And indeed, Farfa decided to pass on to Turna. Salamangreat, as we know, usually needs 2 cards to start things off. Usually, for example, the Spinny, to get also the Sanctuary on the field. We really need to see if Turna has any of these cards in his deck. Also, the Flame Buffalo might be huge if he might be holding the Buffalo alongside.
Yeah. I really like the Flame Buffalo, of course, just being, again, an extender, because it lets you draw 2 cards whenever it leaves the field. Let's see how this Salamangreat deck does open things up.
Oh,
Maxi in
Maxi.
response. Yeah, if there's one thing the Salamangreats also love doing, it's special summoning.
Yeah.
It's the Cyberse matchup.
Yeah, there's a Cyber matchup basically, and I really like it because both of the decks, of course, rely on Signed Mining, which is very powerful card. But we can see once again how in this specific matchup, Maxi, how powerful it is, because we can see that Turna is considering his options. What I'm thinking is that if he had, for example, a Spinny, he could have gone for a Link Summon. He is going for a Link Summon, apparently.
Okay, so the Salamangreat Bale Lynx is now on the field. But the issue is that he now needs to Link Summon with that again, or do something with it, and that will give Farfa yet another card.
Because basically what I'm thinking is that he might be going for the Sanctuary. If he's holding a Spinny, he could activate Foxy effect, discard the Spinny, bring back the Foxy, and with the Foxy effect, he could actually get to destroy the AI land on the field. He activates the Silent Mining, discards the Falco, and here in this situation you should usually, I would say, take the Gazelle.
Okay.
Yeah. But if that's the case, what do you go for now? Because basically with Maxim being activated, yes, he goes for the Foxy. I agree with that. But he gets rid of the Gazelle. Okay.
Okay.
This is something that actually is quite nice, because later on he might be able to get it again with the Jaguar or the Wolf. So he has some line of plays. It really depends on what he's holding in his hand, because usually what I would go for is activating the Silent Mining, get the Spinny, and now, of course, you are under Maxi.
Conversely, you look at the state of the field right now, that is not an end of turn Salamangreat field by any means. So you have to imagine there's at least one more special summon on its way and one more card for Farfa. If Farfa gets another Maxi draw and he gets a draw at the beginning of his next turn, that's 7 cards in his hand to the 3 of Turna. And even if that doesn't happen, it's just the 6 cards to 3, which is still a pretty daunting prospect.
Of course, this was not ideal, an ideal start for sure. Also playing, against Maxi. And usually when you activate the Silent Mining, you don't really want to search for the Spinny. But in this specific situation, in which basically Turna got rid of the Gazelle, you don't get advantage out of the Silent Mining. While instead, if you added the Spinny, in this situation, later on, he might have another chance to bring back the Spinny on the field. Because right now the Gazelle is not useful. Now it's back to Farfa, which now can basically add one Ignister monster from his graveyard to the end.
Okay.
And if Turna doesn't have any Maxi or any other sort of interruption, we might be seeing Farfa taking this turn for, his combo.
Yeah, so he brought the Infant back to his deck, and then when you summon that, of course, you can then search out the A Island again.
Exactly. I mean, as we saw, of course, these decks rely on special summons. Looks like once again that the Ignister goes to the field, and Turna is smiling. Looks like he doesn't have any other sort of interruption. Farfa here plays very well, because basically he gets to add the field spell from the graveyard, something that I really like. I think this was a very smart play by him. And now with 7 cards on the hand, we will soon see the AI land being activated. And now he will special summon one Ignister monster. Let's see what he decides to go for. Then he goes to add another one from the deck to the end. Basically, what we previously mentioned is that the Ignister deck really needs to get things going through at the beginning with the field spell. And the field spell is what really makes the difference.
Yeah, the AI land, of course, being like a really key component, as you mentioned to me before. There's a potential to just take your opponent's life points from 8,000 all the way to 0 in one turn.
Yeah.
But the kind of key component of that strategy is how we interact with the Ignister A Island. That being said, Turna perhaps has already used up all of his removal and may find himself in a very precarious position if Farfa does manage to get out the requisite pieces of this Ignister combo.
We can tell that Farfa is taking some time to understand what might be the best solution in this situation, especially because he doesn't know what Turna might be holding in his set spell and trap cut zone. He goes for the Splash Mage, which is something that I like, especially because he's playing now. He goes for the effect, and as we mentioned, he was also playing the update gem transcode talker, but there was the infinite impermanence being set from Turna. He really needed to activate it there. I mean, there's nothing else that Turna could have done.
And if you're... Ooh, okay. If you're Farfa here, I was going to ask, what do you do? And apparently, it's activate Ignister A Island, and you bring out as many of these Ignister cards in your hand as you can.
And now, basically, he goes to special summon one of his monsters from the graveyard to his field.
And then you link them away, or...?
Now, so basically you get the AI Michu, which basically is like a reinforcement of the army, let's say, for Ignister. And now I think Turna is basically left only with the poor Foxy on the field. This is exactly what Farfa's deck does. The more advantage you get, the more your opponent is in trouble. Of course, both players had the maxi going on. I think Farfa was brave enough to special summon a couple of monsters, but then Turna was basically forced to go into that Foxy.
And the Galcheria Ignister now making its first appearance of the tournament.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that one?
I really like it because basically you can select one Cyber's monster you control, you get that effect, and then you special summon it from the hand. And it's a very good extender from your combo because indeed now you go for the update gemmer. And what Farfa is really looking for here is, I think, sealing this game, which might happen and which we might see because the transport talker will soon find his way.
Yeah.
And then the Trascon Coulter's effect will activate to bring back the update gemmer from the graveyard. I really like how Farfa played out in this turn, especially bringing back the AI lands from the graveyard. And now, once again, the Access Code Talker, I think the most link summon monsters that we have had so far this weekend.
Yeah.
Super powerful, incredible card, and now it gets to resolve both of their effects, and basically he gets his effect resolved. Turna activates the Bailings from the graveyard in order to protect the Foxy, but once again the Access Code Talker will find his effect, and now battle phase. Two attack, and Farfa takes game 1. Very well played by him. We mentioned it before, how explosive his deck is.
So, at Ignister doing at Ignister things.
Yeah, I mean, finally we got the chance to seeing the deck in action. Farfa for sure being happier than his previous match, in which unfortunately didn't have the chance to play his cards. Now,
honestly, I don't believe that the previous game that we just saw was even the perfect opener for Farfa either.
No, exactly.
I think he did very well with the cards that he did get, and he kind of took the responses that Turna had in stride. Turna now is back against the wall, really looking to get back into this one. Again, because if you fall to 0 and 2 in your group, your chances of advancing to tomorrow, very, very difficult.
And also here, Farfa gets the chance to start things off with Silent Mining. As you mentioned, I think it's important to say that Farfa played well with what he had.
Yeah.
Because basically the maxi being played by both players was huge, but then Farfa was basically stick to the game, but maxi once again hits the field. And here Farfa really needs to think once again about his place. We have seen him passing before without extending, because otherwise this would be huge, and indeed that's what he does. It just passed turn. Wow, Turna now.
Head in his hands, thinking
What is he holding? Because
probably wishing that he had his own Cynet mining to open up this game with.
looks like he's considering his options very, very deeply. He goes with the Pot of Desires, and I can tell you guys, when you activate the Pot of Desires in the Salamangreat deck,
Okay, it's
okay,
it's not an Ash Blossom, but it's something.
yeah, but I can tell you guys, when you get to activate the Pot of Desires, okay, Called by the Grave on Maxi, just in case Turna takes some good cards out of his deck.
So when you're Salamangreat and you activate Pot of Desires,
You
no more extra interruptions on that.
You might be risking losing your key cards, such as the Gazelle,
Mm-hmm.
or like, you know, the Spinny, the Foxy. Usually you activate the Pot of Desires after you have something going on, because basically he's taking a risk, but the risk is that maybe he didn't have anything going on, because now he goes for the Buffalo. Let's see if he drew into any Salamangreat card, and I think he does.
Okay.
Bailings.
Okay. Yep. Straight into the Salamangreat Bale Link.
Yeah, now he goes Shell Link 1, Shell Link 2, that's correct. Bailings gets to search the Salamangreat Sanctuary.
And Flame Buffalo gets you 2 cards on top of that.
Yeah, and I think the ideal situation would be discarding, yeah, either the Jaguar or the Spinny. And does he have the Gazelle? Let's see. Looks like he doesn't. But he has the Sign and Mining, which is very, very good, because he gets rid of the Falcon as well. And this is very good news for him, because basically he's playing one copy of Falco and he didn't get the chance to banish it with the Pot of Desires. And also there was the Jaguar that remained in his hand. Also, he didn't banish the Gazelle, that's still there. And now, after resolution, he goes with the Gazelle, activating his effect, sends the Spinny, and luckily for Turna, this Pot of Desires was the game changer, because now he can go for the Spinny. Also, special summoning the Stalio, detach a material. Let's see.
Interesting. Okay, are we expecting to see Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf?
I'm considering it, because basically if we would go for the Stalio, he might be losing the chance to seal this game.
Okay.
Because basically he might be going for another option instead, which in my opinion will be even better. Okay.
Okay.
This is good, because basically he goes for the Falco.
Yep.
He basically takes back the Gazelle.
Yep.
He goes for the Falco. He also has the Jaguar in graveyard. He can go for I think he can go for Farfa Stream strategy. So going for the update Gemmer,
Yep.
going then to special summon one monster from the graveyard, going for the no, I think it's not going.
We have the Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf.
He goes for the Wolf. I think he might have sealed the game in this turn, because after going for the Splash Mage, you go with the update Gemmer, then going for the Transcold Talker.
We have another Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, as we predicted. Do we have the traps in the graveyard though?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, this is maybe the safest play, I would say.
How many of the traps got Pot of Desires?
That's the thing. That's the point. That's the point. Because basically, if he banished his trap cards, he might be in trouble.
Yeah.
I am pretty convinced that he might have sealed the game by playing a maybe differently with the update Gemmer. Maybe he can still do it. Let's see if he manages somehow.
So, do we go update Jammer to transcode token to access code?
Yeah, I think that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, you go for the transcode talker. Yeah, and here I think, I mean, unless Farfa is holding a copy of Infinite Impermanence, for example, after getting rid of the Ignister monster, Access Talk finally hits the field. He played it kind of differently, but still is figuring out. I was maybe afraid that he would have playing more safely, let's say, going with the Wolf, but I really like that Turna actually. But does he have Effect Veiler? And
yes,
he has. He does. Does he have Called by the Grave? Ooh, the Cross-out Designator.
Okay, but what if all the Effect Veilers got taken away by Pot of Desires? No. Evidently not, but that would have been tragic.
Wow. And Turna now negates the Effect Veiler, and we are seeing exact same thing that happened in game 1 when Farfa won. I really like how Turna came back into this game. He figured out how to go for the Access Code Talker in the end, and we will soon see the effect of Access Code Talker being declared. He now gets rid of the Ignister monster, enters battle phase. Will this be enough to seal the game? First attack goes through, second one, and it does.
Yep. Seals the deal. Turna, he evens up the match score, and we have a game 3 on our hands.
Very, very good stuff. For a moment, we thought that Turna maybe wanted to play it more slowly, going for the roar or the rage. But what I really liked is that he figured out the right way to go for the Access Talker play with the Apted Jammer and the Transcon Talker, which there was the play we were talking about. And in the end, although Farfa was holding an Effect Veiler with the Cross-out Designator, he sealed the game.
It really did, and actually we have another game on our hands that may very well be sealed as well. Let's take you over into Rev's Cards versus Julio while we wait for the next. Nope.
Very quick one,
Yeah,
just a quick look at the
it's
match.
how it goes.
The guys were playing game 3 between Turna and Farfa to see who will win this match. Looks like Turna from his body should be starting. He sets one. Is he passing?
He's
wow.
thinking. Oh.
This is so unfortunate. Looks like he's passing.
Fundamentally, you have to look at this as being the game of the tournament for both of these players now, because, again, it's such an intimidating prospect trying to escape your group with a negative win-loss record.
Exactly.
And this is your chance to even up the unfortunate event that you encountered earlier in the day and really try to make it back into contention for a day 2 slot.
That's right. And unfortunately for Turna, he didn't have anything going on in his very first turn. This is something that happened to Farfa already in his first match today. Maybe Turna will be able to survive this turn thanks to Infinite Impermanence, for example. But here Farfa will try to find his way to win this game 3. Let's see if Farfa will go for the standard lineup. We have already seen by him going for the Dark Infant to look up and search the AI land. Does Turna have Effect Veiler?
Nice.
Good activation here from Turna. Does he have the... Well, yeah, he has. Okay. So basically this is good because it is essentially a monster reborn. Wow. He has the Call by the Grave.
Theoretically, it would be essentially a monster reborn.
Yeah.
Now it's not much.
No, exactly. And he doesn't get the chance to summon it back. This is a very weird situation because basically Farfa goes battle phase, but looks like that there's not much going on for Turna. He really needs to find something out of his deck. A Sign and Mining will be great. Let's see. What does he draw? Okay, he goes for Fox, he goes for the effect. He basically gets you seeing the first 3 cards of the deck. And hopefully if he gets a Salamangreat card, he can add it to the end.
So what is he looking for specifically in terms of the Salamangreat cards that are available to him?
Best card he might be seeing is for sure the Salamangreat Gazelle, but also the Salamangreat Circle.
Why is Gazelle... Oh, well,
Ooh,
Gazelle's right there, but why Gazelle specifically?
So when you activate the Foxy, basically you cannot use his second effect from the graveyard in the same exact turn. And with that being said, now the Gazelle, I think it was incredible, because now you can Link Summon with the Foxy.
Yeah.
You go to the Bailings.
Yeah.
Now you can also activate the Gazelle. Exactly, that's correct. You go for the Gazelle, you search for the field spell, and usually with the Gazelle you get to send the Spinny to the graveyard.
Okay, and why is sending the Spinny to the graveyard important for bridging that kind of combo and accelerating it?
Yeah, exactly. But it has the effect Veiler. This is very nice from Farfa.
So you've just been effect Veilered. How do you continue this as Turner? What is the play?
So basically, but he has the crossout designator.
Oh, okay, that is the play apparently.
Wow, I mean,
Alright, so ideal situation, you now have access to the Gazelle effect. What do you do with the Gazelle? Sorry, you get the Spinny in the graveyard?
So you get the Spinny in the graveyard.
Yep.
Then after resolution, you also you will also be having the Sanctuary, the field spell. Then you go Spinny, you bring it back to the field. You go for the Stalio. Stalio's effect. Ideally, you will be summoning the Jack Jaguar on the field.
Okay.
And then what you usually do is using the Stalio and the Jaguar to go for the Wolf. Then what you can potentially be doing is that bringing back the Jaguar under the Wolf, because also you will be having the Sanctuary. And once the Jaguar goes under the Wolf, it will trigger his effect to basically put back the Stalio you just used from the graveyard to the extra deck.
Beautiful.
This is something very powerful. Just a quick thing, Rev Cards won Game 1 against Julio. Very good stuff. So 3 Brigade was able to win Game 1 against Marincess, but now play is back to Turna with the Spinny, as we were saying.
Yep.
The thing is that...
seems to be a field spell that is conspicuously absent. However, how does that affect the play now that the field spell isn't in play?
So basically, there are 2 options. Either Turna now goes for the Stalio, as I was mentioning, or he completely take a different approach and try to go to push enough damage.
Okay.
As he did previously in Game 2.
With the access code talker.
Exactly.
Just link. Fine.
Yeah. This might be risky though, because Farfa, for example, might be holding a copy of Infinite Impermanence or an Ash Blossom. We really have to see if that will be the case, because worst case scenario, you got Ash Blossom on the Stalio, which of course hurts, but it really depends. You can see Turna really considering his options. Let's see what he decides to do. He goes for a Link Summon, and maybe he's taking the risk. Does he go for the update jammer? And he does.
Okay.
As I was telling you guys, there were 2 line of plays, either with the Stalio or the other one. You just risk it all and try to go and push enough damage.
Yep, so he's going to go into the transcode talker after this,
yes,
and then go straight into the access code talker. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, I can understand him. You just want to play your cards, try to see if your opponent has any other interruption. He goes for the transcode talker, most likely. Let's see. He does.
And if you front load with enough damage here, if you even if you don't close the game, you still put enough pressure on Farfa that he probably won't be able to claw his way back into this.
As we mentioned, this is a big risk for Turna.
Will it pay off, or will he encounter some disruption?
We really have to see, because Farfa's deck is one of these decks that doesn't set a lot of cards usually. Let's see if Turna plays where will pay off. Is activating the access code talker, and he had impermanence indeed. As we mentioned, it would have had two different line of plays. Of course, Farfa's deck doesn't set so many cards as we were mentioning.
Yeah.
And indeed, a copy of Infinite Impermanence was there. I can understand that Turna wanted to risk it all and took his chances. On the other side, he could have gone, as I told you, for the Stallion play, and then the Impermanence would have been dropped on the Stallion.
I think this is still a pretty okay position
Yeah.
for him to be in, though.
Yeah.
It does give Farfa the luxury of having an additional turn to try to deal with the hand that he's been dealt. Okay, this could very well be the makings of a good series of play for the Ignister deck.
Yeah, because now basically he gets a AI spell of Chopka from deck to the end. This is very good for Farfa because he gets the AI Michu, which, as we were telling you before, he gets to add an Ignister monster. He goes for a Link Summon once again of the Dark Infant.
You get the AI Island, as you mentioned.
And if Turna doesn't hold any copy of, for example, Ash Blossom or Nibiru, the Primal Being, that might be huge. This might be very difficult from him. He goes for the field spell, and now we get the chance to seeing the Achishi being summoned. He gets to add another Ignister monster from his deck.
Alright, let's see where he goes from here. If you were playing the Ignister deck right now, where would you go from here? What would you do to get rid of this access code talker, and what would you do to get yourself back into a more favorable position in this game?
So I think being Farfa, and he is also an experienced player, he might be risking, he goes for the Splash Mage, something that we have already saying. He might be going for what we saw in game 1, for the lineup play with the access code token that has just missed with Turna. He might be considering to do for this lineup, which honestly I really like, especially because, as my understanding, the card that could save Turna is at the moment Nibiru, the Primal Being.
Yep.
Indeed, he goes for the update jammer. He will go and try his chances. Maybe we will have the chance to seeing once again the access code talker being summoned. Very soon here will come the transcode talker. Here comes the access code.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is what these 3 games have been. Access code talker after another. He goes for it. Looks like there's no Nibiru, the Primal Being, battle phase, and Farfa takes home this game 3.
And Farfa now has evened up his scoreline and still has hopes of advancing from this group. It's not all done for Turna, but he's relying on other members of his group to lose. And not having your tournament fate in your hands is never a great feeling.
Exactly. I think we gotta give credit to him to try his best and push enough with the access code talker in game 3.
Yeah, that took guts. That was risked it all.
Yeah.
It didn't quite pay off, but It was close.
He took the risk, you know. He was just saying, if it pays off, I'm going to win. On the other side, Farfa was holding the infinite impermanence, but let's go and jump to it.
Big round of applause for Farfa for winning that round. There we go. Congratulations. Come on over with me. We'll head on over to the interview section and we'll have a quick chat. Grab yourself a microphone and let's talk about it. Come on, Nadir. My dear Nadir. How does that feel? You finally got a win on the Masters DUEL Invitational.
Yeah, after that start, I was obviously really disappointed. It didn't go my way at all in round one, so naturally I was not in the greatest headspace. But you just kind of have to like focus up and take each game as it comes. That was a really intense game. Turna he's a really good player, and I was it's a tough group overall, and he almost had me because I feel like I should have got punished in game two. I had the droll, and I could have drolled him on my own turn to stop the Max C, but I figured keeping the Veiler was probably the better play. So yeah, I definitely fumbled that one, so I got really fortunate in game three because he didn't really have much of a play. So that was pretty lucky of me, but at the same time he won the coin flip in game two, so it's give and take. But
absolutely,
yeah.
And there were quite a few plays that were actually pretty good. So game one, for instance, you didn't have a perfect opener in terms of your hands, but you managed to play it really well, and so that ended up going your way.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't summoned the Arrival Cyrus, which you'd think would be the big boss monster of the deck. So yeah, still sort of getting to the grips with the deck and stuff like that. And I think that just managed to get away with that in game one. It's always a bit of a back and forth ping pong with the hand traps. So yeah, I was pretty fortunate in game one as well.
Well, then game two, there was the effect Veiler from you that was hit by Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator seemed to be the nightmare card during that duel. It happened twice in two separate games on your effect Veiler. So when those were happening, do you have ways around it, or do you just feel kind of defeated in those moments?
Yeah, so like the way to play around the call by and the crossout is to just essentially, sometimes you try and use your worst hand trap first, bait them into thinking, okay, I'll try and stop this, and then you hit them with the follow-up hand trap, because these are very similar decks in some regards. We have very similar win conditions, 1-2 card combos, and so it's really reliant on our hand trap disruptions. So it is a bit of like trying to get the read on what they have, and then using your order of operations to sort of circumvent what they have. Yeah, it really is like a ping-ponging back and forth with the hand traps, I think.
It kind of was, and then in game three, there was kind of a back and forth of tennis ping-pong between the access code talkers that you shut down and then went, I'll show you an access code talker. Slapped that down, and then you went in for game. So it all went well in the third round.
Yeah, it was a slow start. He just went set two. He stopped my play, so I'm just poking with Dark Infant. And yeah, it was a slow grind, and then eventually the clutch sort of imperm on the access code, I think, really sealed it. So I think he probably could have maybe went for Heat Soul instead there. I think that when he could tell that I had a hand trap, it was probably the safest line, rather than going all in with access code, because when you summon the access code with Update Jammer, that's your money shot. You kind of like have to really make sure that that goes through. So it is, the haymaker, and yeah, I think he probably should have went for Heat Soul, but you got to go big or go home, I suppose.
That is the way of putting it, mate. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's too late by this point. So congratulations again. We'll see what happens in your third and final game. That is going to be your third and final game, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm up against Colossa, and I'm pretty terrified. That's a spiral, at full power. I'm really scared.
Although there was a 2-0 loss for Colossa in her last round, so we'll see what happens. You never know. You might have a similar thing to this, where you've just got all the hand traps and you slap down another access code. We'll see what happens, but good luck in that one. I hope it goes well. Guys, don't go anywhere, because literally right now is the last duel that we're going to have in this second round of the stages, and then we're going to have a little break. So right now it's TGS Anime versus Zulu. It's going to be very exciting. Guys, take it away for this next feature round.